Okay, well, it is October 1st, Friday. I have left my office for the weekend and have gone to my temporary office, or better known as my boat. So I am going to be spending a couple days out on the lake this weekend, provided the weather holds out and things are. We don't have any challenges there with the weather. So I'll have more to talk about later, but right now, light winds, easterly direction. I thought they were supposed to be southeast, but maybe they'll shift around a little bit. Either way, the sea state's very calm, so I'm not worried about anchoring out in this. The only question is, how far do I get tonight? So, like I said, the waves are pretty light, or the winds are pretty light. I was trying to go about 18 miles, but I can't sail there straight because the wind is coming from the direction I want to go. So we're going to tack a bit and see what happens. I may not be able to make it all the way to the Indiana Dunes, which is where I'd like to end up tonight, but we'll see. There's a couple other places I can anchor out on the beach. Tomorrow we're supposed to maybe get some rain. It's hard to say. If we do, it'll probably be light. I don't think we're expected to have any real severe weather. I brought a tarp to put over the cockpit if it rains and I'm stuck at anchor for a bit. We've got food and beverages for the weekend, so we should be okay there. And we're playing with a brand new battery monitor that Kathy got me for Christmas. I'll show you that later. I hooked it up real quick, and I had put new golf cart batteries on the boat this spring, and they seem to be working really well. But I have this battery monitor hooked up to it now, so I can see battery capacity remaining, what my draw is, and things like that I couldn't see before. So that'll be fun to play with that over the weekend and keep an eye on our battery power. I think with that, I'm gonna say adios for now and have more to check in later, either when we get to our anchorage or whatever else exciting thing happens. I'll be back. Tally-ho is sailing along very nicely on a close reach. I've decided we're gonna hit the Gary Beach instead of trying to get all the way to the dunes today. I just don't think we can get there before dark. It's another 10 miles probably out that way, and we have to tack out way out there to go there. So I think we'll skip that. At our current speed of about 4 knots, we'll get to the Gary Beaches around 5:30, 6 o'clock, I think, depending on where we decide to drop the anchor. Hopefully there's not a lot of boats out here. I can't imagine that there are, at least that we'll be spending the night. And I've stayed out here before. It's actually a pretty nice little place to anchor. Should be good, hopefully. Boat's sailing great. Autopilot's doing its thing just the way it's supposed to. Full sails. It's a light wind, so we're not flying, but we can make 4 or 5 knots with this 10 knot wind. I'm really loving my little battery monitor downstairs. It's keeping track of how much juice we use and how much is left in the tank, so to speak. So that's pretty cool. I'll give a full rundown of that later. It's not installed where I want it, but it's recording right now, so that's cool. Other than that, we're just moving along. We worked from the boat for quite a while, actually. Had my work laptop going and connected to my phone for network connectivity, and was able to sneak out of the office, so to speak, a little early while I kept in contact. And I'm still checking email because I'm waiting for a kind of important email. So I'll check that on my phone, but decided we'd get an early start since it's a long ways to go. So we'll have a little bit more later. I'm just kind of relaxing in the cockpit and letting the autopilot steer us, and doing a little reading and keeping an eye out on the horizon there to get us out to the beaches and past the steel mill entrance here. We got to get past that, but anyway, that's our view for now, and we'll have more when we anchor. All right, we are at our anchorage for the night. So we didn't make it as far as I had hoped to, but we did make it to the Gary beaches. So we're just anchored in about 10 feet of water. Maybe a little less. 9.8 feet of water. Do have an anchor alarm set, but the winds are dying down. It's less than 10 knots. So this is where we're going to hang out tonight. It's not ideal, it's not picturesque with that steel mill right there, but it should be okay for tonight. And then tomorrow we'll try to make it to the Indiana Dunes. We got a little steak and some baked beans cooking on the little barbecue back here. And we'll have a sunset, and I just remembered I forgot to bring tonic and lime, so no gin and tonics tonight, but we do have, should have a nice sunset, maybe a little cloudy. And we do have some beer, and we have a little bit of wine on board, so we'll be fine. I can't actually taste much anyway, so it would be kind of a waste. So a couple power related things I think would be interesting to talk about. So first of all, in the spring I replaced my old 12 volt Group 27 batteries with two 6 volt 205 amp hour batteries. So running them in series, I think is how you say it, gives me 12 volts and 205 amps. So that's my battery bank. Although I could kind of see my voltage, that was about all I could see. And I asked for something for my birthday, which isn't for another 2 days, but I got it early. And that is a Renogy battery monitor. So Renogy is big in the solar power and battery management. So for 80 bucks, this one should give me a pretty good idea where my battery power is. So you can see the 202 amp hours remaining. Now remember, we can only go down to about 100 amp hours, and then we will be starting to kill our batteries. But the battery health is right there, 12.8 volts right now. I just shut the motor off, so it's a little high probably. We are drawing a little bit, 1.58 amps, which LPG solenoid, radio maybe, the chart plotter's on, so that's drawn a little bit, but certainly not much. I do have the refrigerator off, and I put a big block of ice in there this morning, or this afternoon. So I'm hoping to just kind of leave the fridge off unless the ice all melts and I can turn it back on. But that's a battery conservation strategy. We'll see how this works. I may turn it on just to see how it affects my battery life, but my plan is to leave it off. And then just to be safe, I'm going to be out for 2 nights, so at least I hope I am. I did not want to find myself with flat batteries, and so I I pulled the battery out of my Roadster and brought that along just in case I need to, do some kind of jump starting or something. I just realized this battery does not have screw terminals. I don't know, it'll be a little tricky. I don't have jumper cables, I don't think. Well, we'll figure out something if it comes to that. But anyway, I threw that in today just because I didn't want to end up with flat batteries and no way to start the engine. So I think, my battery monitor will make that, worry free, but just to be sure, I think I thought it'd be a good idea to do that. The other thing I brought, really just to charge cell phones and stuff if necessary, is a jump start battery pack. Kind of hard to see it in there, but so that's basically just, there's a USB connection. I don't think that battery is good enough to start the engine. It's pretty old and doesn't really, I don't think, hold a charge, but I think it'll like charge a cell phone or my iPad or something like that. So that's why I brought that. One person off the beach there. Can't tell what they're doing. I think they have a dog with them. Yep. Throwing something for the dog. Anyway, no other boats out here now. There was one earlier, but he's left. And it's just me. So I've got 30 feet of rope, chain and rode out in 10 feet of water. So a 3-to-1 scope. It's supposed to be pretty calm tonight, light winds, and I'll double check that forecast, but I don't think I need to put out any more scope. So, ooh, looks like my steak's cooking. That's good. Let's see how it's looking, if it's ready for it to be turned. Oh yeah, I think so. All right, well I'm gonna put this away for now, and I'll check in with you at dinner time. Well, dinner's served. A wonderful filet mignon and some Bush's baked beans and a little glass of red wine. Make it all go together. Not too many sailors on the lake tonight having filet, I bet. Maybe salmon, but not filet of beef. Nice dinner tonight. All right, dinner's over. We're just watching the sun go down. Might try a swim, I don't know. Water temps in the low 70s. I could take a shower because I ran the hot water. I ran the engine for a little bit, so we have some hot water. Maybe we'll do that, or maybe we'll do both. I don't know. We'll see. Well, good morning. It's Saturday morning. We spent our night on the boat last night, anchored off the Gary Beach. We've had breakfast, bacon and eggs and toast and coffee. Dishes are done. Well, need to be dried still, but our functional galley on Tally Ho, works fantastic. Spent the night in the V-berth last night. It was pretty comfortable, and other than I'm anchored a bit close to some railroad tracks out on the other side of that beach. I think I could hear a lot of train noise last night. So at 1 o'clock in the morning I put in some earplugs. The other interesting thing from last night, I used this old jump start battery and charged up my phone and my iPad last night, or overnight, with that. I don't think this thing would start the boat anymore. It's pretty old and doesn't work well, but it certainly charged my phone and then my iPad last night. So there's a USB port in here. Turn it on for that, for that circuit,
And that was all I had to do. Shows batteries down some, which, like I said, the thing doesn't work right. I don't think it would start the engine, but hey, it started, it charged up my phone, so that's good. We monitored our battery usage last night using our new Renogy battery monitor. So a couple of interesting things we learned last night. I went through after dark, and I turned on each lighting circuit just by itself to see like how much does it draw. So our anchor light, which I believe is LED, I've never been up there to look at it, but drew like 0.03 amps. So that's all we drew all night long, which was great. Other lights, these dome lights, these are LEDs. I forget, they drew like 0.25 amps each. So not a lot of not a lot of juice drawn down overnight. Now we don't have the refrigerator on. When I turned that thing on, it would draw 7 amps. Excuse me, while the compressor was running. So I kind of expected that, and so I put a frozen gallon block of ice in there, plus I have some frozen water bottles in the freezer compartment, and that seems to keep everything pretty cold. I got out the bacon and eggs this morning and everything was very cold, so don't know what we would do long term. You know, if we were trying to do this more than a couple days, we'd probably have to have solar or something like that to, you know, keep the fridge going. So as soon as I finish cleaning up here, we're gonna put the sail up and head on off for a sail. This was our view last night. The wind did shift around completely to the south, so everything, you know, anchor and everything was great. Didn't have much rocking or anything last night, so that was good. Still in plenty deep water. So that was it was a pretty decent night last night. We are expecting rain today potentially, and so I'll be keeping an eye on the weather. I'd like to probably come back here after sailing and just spend the night here again, or maybe closer, maybe down farther, a little bit further from the steel mill and the railroad noise I heard last night. But other than that, not bad. We just have to keep an eye out for rainstorms. And I don't mind sleeping on the boat in the rain, just don't want to be sailing in it so much. So we're going to get cleaned up and get the sail raised and the anchor pulled up, and we'll see if we can continue on our little adventure here this weekend. Well, we're under sail this morning, Saturday morning. It's about 9:15. We're headed east towards Michigan City and the Indiana Dunes, but we are keeping a close eye on this weather. They're fairly light, but in front of this big cloud, big speed. I don't believe it's like a thunderstorm that's going to produce significant wind. There's some wind in front of this. So we're just going to watch closely and head east. Hopefully stay out of rain and really bad winds. But I've got full sails up, and we're only 10 or 11, 12 knots of wind. I do have some foul weather gear handy in case we do start to get some rain, and I have closed all the hatches except for the companionway, so I can pretty quickly close that if we need to. So what I'm thinking is I'd like to try to sail, pretty close to Michigan City at 16 miles. According to my chart plotter, I'd be there before 1 o'clock. But rather than spend the night there, I'll turn around and probably come back to the beach here. Or if things are really, really crappy, I could always head back home to the marina. From here, it's about 10 miles, maybe less. So we've got some options, and if the wind really started to howl, well, we got plenty of seaway to the north that we could run from the storm. No worries there. Not like we're going to blow up on shore. So we'll see how this morning sail progresses. Well, my destination is now pretty obscured. The storm is moving pretty quickly, right? That's where it was so dark before, and it's actually lightening up, but it's moving out in front of us. That big steel mill there, you can't hardly see it anymore on film, I'm sure. I can barely make it out. And the Michigan City power plant cooling tower is no longer visible. We're headed in the right direction for arrival in or around Michigan City. Actually even faster now. 12:18 is our ETA. We're making 5 knots. Right now the winds are under 10, but they have pushed up to 13 occasionally. Again, I don't think this, these clouds in this front, I don't think is going to bring, 30-mile-an-hour winds or anything, but just want to be prepared in case. I have donned my foul weather pants and have my jacket right here close by in case it starts to rain as I move into that dark spot. But I'm kind of hoping it dissipates or blows farther away from me before I get to it. But we are prepared one way or the other, I guess. The only thing is I don't have any shoes on. I have some rubber boots to put on if it really got wet, but still in the temperatures in the 70s, so I'm not too worried about getting cold. So anyway, like I said, our destination has gotten very obscured. We'll keep sailing east and see what we run into. Well, I checked the radar, and well, obviously you can see the steel mill and stuff has become visible again. Still can't see much of the cooling tower in Michigan City, but I think I looked at the radar real quick, and it looks like it's blowing northeast pretty quickly and dissipating. Look back to where I was anchored, and it's not clear sky. It's a lot lighter there, so we're gonna stick with the plan and keep heading east. We'll sail past the Indiana Dunes. Last year, I think it was, I ended up anchoring right in the shadow of the Michigan City cooling tower, power plant cooling tower. And we'll sail up that way. Should be there sometime between 12 and 1. I think we'll turn around there. The other thing on the radar, it looked like it was going to be very wet around 4 o'clock. So what I'm thinking is we'll sail up to Michigan City, we'll turn around there, we'll sail back and try to get back to somewhere over in this area. Looks like some nice dunes there with no houses. Maybe we can anchor there tonight. Still supposed to be a southwest wind, I think, so that shouldn't be bad for anchoring, really. And anyway, if we got there before it rained, that would kind of be nice, and then we'd be dry in the cabin overnight. If it was really bad, you know, our option there is to head home to the marina. So even if I had to motor back, that wouldn't be too terrible, I guess. But anyway, playing it by ear, and right now it looks like the weather gods are in our favor, and the storm is blowing away from us, and we haven't seen any rain yet. So all is good. Wind's still, you know, 10, 11 knots, pretty steady on the beam. Right now we're making almost 6 knots, and it's very comfortable sail. Otto can steer if I need a break. It's about 10 o'clock, and I'll be taking a break to do a Zoom call at 10:30 with the fam. Hopefully the winds will stay fairly steady and calm and light, so Otto can steer while I'm trying to host a Zoom call. All right, we'll have more later. Well, we are ghosting by the Indiana Dunes State Park. The Zoom call's over, so that was a little touch and go there. Something happened right at the very beginning, but we got everybody on. And autopilot steered the whole way for the half hour I was on the call, and no problems. You can see the clouds and the darkness has passed by us. I can now see the tower in Michigan City. That's kind of our destination. Last year I anchored there. This year I don't plan to anchor there. Just going to sail that far and turn around. Winds are very light, like 6 knots right now, so very light wind. It was we had more wind earlier today, like 10 to 12, so, but that's all right. We'll see if we can make our way up there, and then the intent is just to turn around and start sailing back the other way, and deciding at some point where we're gonna spend the night tonight, either at anchor or head back to the marina and go home. Still thinking it might rain around 4 o'clock, so I've shed my foul weather gear. I'm wearing shoes and socks though. Warmed up a little bit when the sun came out, so now we're just kind of ghosting along and trying to, you know, get all the way up to the Michigan City anchorage, and then we're going to turn around and go back. If we make it there and back, it'll be like 32 miles today. Make it back to where I started my anchorage this morning. So anyway, we shall see what happens. Maybe hopefully the winds will pick up a little bit more, and we can make a little bit better time. Right now we're just making 4.4 knots, so not real fast at the moment, but pretty comfortable. Boat's not leaned over. The winds are very stable, really, so autopilot handles things just great. And you can see the sea state's very flat, not much wave here at all. And that's about it. So we'll have more later. Well, as I thought, we might get some weather coming in late today. Right now the radar still seems to say around the Gary beaches around 5. Nothing looks real threatening now, but certainly clouded over after some sun came out for a bit. So we sailed up to basically the cooling tower in Michigan City. I anchored there just off the beach there once. And Mount Baldy is just to the right of that. Mount Baldy State Park, the dunes. So I turned around there, hove to for a few minutes, got something to eat,
And now we're making our way back west. And still sticking with the plan that we'll go up to the Gary Beaches and anchor there tonight, hopefully right before it rains. And then tomorrow we don't have a terribly long sail back to East Chicago. The winds are supposed to come from the west sometime tomorrow. So that'll be a tough point of sail to go east or to go west. So if we make it as far as Gary Beaches, we can do one long tack out into the lake, I think, and then a tack back towards the marina. So that's kind of the plan. I mean, if the weather I thought was going to be really super horrible, we could go straight to the marina tonight, but we'd probably be sailing in the rain tonight. We're only making about 4 knots right now. Winds are pretty light, 10 knots. Can't go quite in the right tack or point of sail right now because the winds are just a little bit too far, kind of southwest. And we need to go kind of southwest, so we're running just on a really, really close haul. But we're making, like I said, 4, 4.5, 5 when the wind picks up a little bit, and we should get to the Gary Beaches around 4:30, and I think the rain's supposed to start around 5:30. So hopefully we'll get anchored and get hunkered down before it rains. And spending the night on the boat in the rain might be fun, and see if there's leaks, cabin top leaks, that kind of stuff. Oh, look, there's a little sunshine coming out. As long as the winds aren't horribly strong, and hopefully they stay from the southwest, which is what they're predicted to do. You know, that shouldn't be a bad anchor overnight, I don't think. So we'll give that a try, I think. Unless something happens really contrary to my plan, I think that's what we're going to do. It's about time for the Notre Dame football game to start, and I found out I can get it on Sirius XM channel 129. So I'm going to flip over to the game and listen to it. I might be able to get it on my iPad, but no sense in burning up a lot of bandwidth data for that, I don't think. So we'll listen to it today. Hopefully the Irish can beat Cincinnati. We're sailing our way west along the Indiana Dunes lake shore. A couple of steel mills to pass, and then we'll be at our anchorage for the night. Well, we go from no wind. Whoops. Hold on a second. Yeah, my traveler popped loose there, but all good. So we go from no wind to parent. Picture feels like it. And we can't go, quite where we want to go, but we are making forward progress. About 5 knots with this super wind that picked up. It is kind of a really close haul. It was 6 knots earlier, and then now it's 17. So I guess we'll take advantage of the winds while we can, and then we'll probably just motor south into the beach there, and that way we'll have a little warm water for up dishes and stuff. And that'll work. We're listening to Notre Dame on XM, Sirius XM, and trying to get our way back to the beaches before it rains. Had to talk to this guy on the radio. His boat's name is Stuart J. Court. Harbor there when I was cutting across his bow. rather than stay in front of them, I just tack real fast. Got behind them, and I'll cut across the stern now. Problem avoided. You don't want to get in front of all those big guys. Good news is my radio works, I guess. Couldn't get it to channel 8. It wanted me to switch to channel 8 right Anyway, no worries. Stuart J. Court. Picked him up on my AIS when I saw him first. Then he was active. He was active on my I shortened the jib a bit, put one reef in, haven't done anything to the mainsail. We're still getting 18, 19 knots apparent. So I thought I'd try to shorten the jib, but I gotta move the jib cars, I think. Well, we're still beating pretty tough into knot winds, close haul. Over. I put a second reef in the jib, debating how to put a reef in the main. Have to drop it, put a reef hook up on the tack at the mast, and then come back and tighten the clue. So that was a little tricky, but we'll see. Maybe we won't have to. So I can't get close to the beach over there because the wind's can't sail directly to the wind. So I'm going to keep sailing upwind a little bit. When I get past the steel mill here, maybe past that white building over there, then I'll do a tack and aim right for the shoreline, and then when I get close to the shoreline, I'll tack the other way, and I'll be much closer to the beach, which is where I'm trying to get to. About 3 o'clock. Hasn't rained yet, but the clouds look a little thicker up ahead. Right now my ETA is a little after 4, but like I said, I'll have to do a couple of tacks to get there, so we'll see. All right, well, I guess that's it for now. Still listening to Notre Dame, but they're getting beat, and trying to manage sails, avoid ships, all that jazz. Fun sailing. Well, the regular video camera seems to be dead, so I'm using my phone. It's raining. Probably can't see much out there, but trust me, it's raining. We're just a little bit west of Portage, Indiana. Anchored in 15 feet of water off the beach. Hard to see much out there, but this is where I decided to pull off an anchor when it started to rain at about 4:30. So didn't feel like grilling outside, so made a hamburger in a pan, some corn, glass of wine. That was dinner. All the dishes and everything are cleaned up. Saving that water to wash my wine glass when I'm done. Have a couple of light sources. That candle, that is a backpack lantern, so a small candle light, basically. It's got a glass surround, and the candle is pushed up by a spring mechanism, so it always stays the same height. Got it for backpacking, camping, but seemed like a good, oh no, I'm out of light option here on the boat. And then I'm reading, so in order to have enough light to read, I'm using this LED this LED shop light or work light. And enjoying a glass of wine while I listen to the rain pitter patter on the roof. So it's only 6:30, but I'll read a while and finish cleaning up and give Kathy a call in a little bit. She's worried because it's thundering at home and she thinks
Well, happy birthday to me. It is Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. Another successful anchorage last night. I spent the night here just a little bit west of Portage, in a little beach area. When I anchored last night, or yesterday, the winds were from the south. Today they're a little bit more westerly, southwest probably. And that's okay, that'll probably help us get home as long as they stay somewhat south, southerly winds. That's where we're going to be headed after breakfast. Very overcast and cloudy and wet, but the temperature's not bad. So I'll be cooking some breakfast this morning, and then coffee's warming up now. Then it'll be time to clean up and finish this journey. Well, here's a typical breakfast on the boat. So we have a nice stove with an oven. I'm not baking anything today, but we are frying bacon, making some toast on an old-fashioned camp stove toaster. We got hot water to make coffee in a French press, and we'll be putting a couple eggs in. So breakfast is getting close, looking good. It's a good happy birthday breakfast this morning.
nothing but wild blue yonder out that way. Of course, if we kept going in this direction, we'd eventually hit Chicago probably. Can't see it though because of all the clouds stuff. So we're really navigating by my chart plotter because we can't really see a whole lot of the shoreline. And we can't go exactly where we want to go because southwest, we need to go west, can't go quite that close in the wind. So we're headed west northwest, and there's a buoy out there about 5 miles from the marina. We'll probably try to, if we can sail that far and then tack across back to the marina, that would be a good sailing plan, I think. But the boat's sailing well. Sails look good. Got a lot of draft in the mainsail just to pick up the wind, and fairly light. So it seems to be picking up a little bit, so that's good. The more it picks up, the more we can head, I think, west. Unless it shifts direction some, but We've got the loose-footed mains, you know, pretty far out. We're dancing around. I might have to look at the trim, but hey, we're moving pretty good, probably 5 knots or so. And Otto's doing his job, steering, keeping us on track. I'll get the ropes tidied up here and we'll settle in for a good sail. Making 5.3. And winds have picked up to 14 apparent. You know, maybe 10 true. That'll fly. Alright, more later. Well, blasphemy to a sailor. But we had to turn on the engine, and winds were down to like 5 knots, and they were right off our nose trying to head to the marina. It's very calm. That guy, I don't know if you can see that guy. The sailboat kind of snuck up on me. I didn't know he was there. He's got his motor on, and he's basically motor sailing his sail up. But he must be headed to Hammond or Chicago. For me, putting the sail up and sailing towards the marina, motoring towards the marina, was just straight upwind. So no sense in having a sail flopping around. So the good news is that gives us time to kind of get the boat put away and cleaned up. We'll be back in before noon, and I can clean up, pack up, load some of the stuff in the car that I don't need on the boat anymore after this trip. There's a little bit of blue sky up there, so hopefully we will avoid the rain. And we'll cut our trip a little bit short in terms of sailing, but that's okay. We'll be 55 miles, maybe 56 by the time we end up back at the marina for this weekend's trip. So I guess that's not all bad. Shame to have to start the engine, but it did give me a chance to go down there and check the stuffing box, make sure it's not running hot. It's really feels really good, and the engine seems to be running fine. The heat exchanger and all that jazz seems to be working the way it's supposed to. So I guess there's that good news. We got a half a tank of fuel. No problem getting home. Motor's running really smooth, pushing us at 6 knots at about 2,800 RPMs, I think. Hard to see the RPM gauge, but 28 maybe. One of my projects is to move that engine control panel from way down there to right here where I could actually see it. That's a winter project though, I think. All right, well, that's it for now. We'll catch up when we get to the marina.